Jai Gurudev, good morning and thank you for taking the time to speak with me today. The sacred thread ceremony, also known as Upanayanam or Upkarma, is a deeply significant rite of passage in the life of a young individual, particularly in Hindu tradition. To begin with, could you explain to our readers what the Upanayanam ceremony represents and its importance within the Vedic context? Jai Gurudev and good morning and thank you for having me. The Upanayanam ceremony is one of the most significant rites of passage in Hindu tradition, often marking the formal initiation into the study of the sacred texts and the practice of Vedic disciplines. The term Upanayanam is derived from two words. Upa means near and Nayanam meaning leading or bringing. Essentially, it symbolizes the act of leading the individual closer to knowledge, particularly spiritual knowledge. In ancient times, this ceremony was typically performed for young boys, signifying their transition from childhood to the first stage of ashrama, which is brahmacharya, the student phase. This was the beginning of the formal education in the Vedic scriptures, which were passed down orally. The young initiate, now called Upanayaka or Brahmachari, would undergo a period of study under the guidance of a teacher or guru, first focusing on the study of the Vedas, Upanishads, and other sacred texts, as well as the practice of discipline and self control. That is fascinating. From what I understand, the ceremony involves the wearing of a sacred thread or janeu. Could you describe the symbolism of the janeu and how it plays a role in the ceremony? Absolutely, the Janeu or the sacred thread is one of the central symbols of the Upanenam. It is a thread made of cotton or silk, traditionally white or off white, and it is worn over the left shoulder and under the right arm. The Janeu symbolizes a commitment to uphold the teachings of the Vedas and to follow a life of moral and spiritual discipline. It is seen as a mark of purity and is intended to remind the wearer of their duty to uphold dharma, the ethical and moral laws of the universe. The ceremony itself is very rich in symbolism. The thread has three strands representing the three primary aspects of the Hindu life: the sattva, the purity, rajas, or the activity, and the tamas, or the inertia, which are the gunas or qualities inherent in all of creation. In some traditions, these three strands also represent the trinity of Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, the three principal deities of Hinduism. The individual wearing the Janeu is expected to embody these qualities, maintaining a balance between action, contemplation, and purity. There is also a significant point about the way the sacred thread is worn. It is an external representation of an internal commitment. It's not just a piece of cloth, it's a constant reminder to the wearer of their spiritual responsibilities and their role within the larger cosmic order. The moment the Janu is worn, the initiate is regarded as having entered a new phase of life, one dedicated to discipline, learning, and self improvement. That's an insightful explanation. In modern times, we often see the Upanayam being performed in various forms across different communities. Does the ceremony vary based on region, sect, or tradition, and if so, how? Yes, indeed, the Upanenam ceremony does vary in different regions and traditions. While the core essence of the ceremony remains the same, there are regional and sectarian differences in its performance. For example, in South India, particularly among the Brahmin communities, the ceremony is typically more elaborate. It includes the chanting of mantras, the lighting of the sacred fire, the Agni, and the formal initiation of the young boy into the study of the Vedas. In many cases, the priest or guru conducts the ceremony, and the boy is given the sacred thread with the chanting of the Gayatri Mantra, one of the most important mantras in the Vedic tradition. In North India, the ceremony may be simpler and often takes place in the family home or in a temple where, with less emphasis on the Vedic rituals and more focus on the family's blessings and the cultural aspects of the rite. Additionally, the tradition of Upanayanam is not confined to Brahmin communities alone. In many other castes, such as Kshatriyas and Vaishyas, the ceremony is also performed, but the ritual may vary slightly. In some cases, it is even observed among certain communities in the Sikh tradition, where it is known as the Amrit Sanskar, a ceremony that shares certain similarities with the Hindu Upanenam. In terms of modern changes, many people today conduct the ceremony in a simplified form, especially in urban settings. Some families may even choose to have a more symbolic or spiritual version of the ceremony, where the emphasis is placed on spiritual commitment rather than the full traditional rites. In the contemporary context, do you think the Upanenam ceremony holds the same significance it did centuries ago, or has it meaning evolved? That's an excellent question. The significance of the Upanenam ceremony has undoubtedly evolved in the modern world, though its core purpose remains rooted in spiritual discipline and learning. In ancient times, this ceremony was primarily an initiation into the study of the Vedas and an entry into a structured educational system. Boys were expected to live with their guru in an ashram, leading a life of strict discipline. The ceremony was a formal entry into that world, and it was not just a rite of passage. but an essential part of the education process in ancient Hindu society. Today, the role of formal education has shifted significantly. Many people do not follow the traditional system of studying the Vedas in a Gurukul setting. However, the essence of the Upanishad as a rite of initiating into spiritual knowledge continues to be important for many families. It is a way of connecting the younger generation with their cultural and religious heritage. In urban contexts, the ceremony often has a dual role. It is both a religious function and a social gathering that marks an important transition in the life of the child. However, the modern context has also led to some challenges. For example, some families may choose to perform the ceremony without a full understanding of its spiritual and educational depth. Others may adapt the rituals to suit contemporary tastes, perhaps omitting certain elements or simplifying the rites. Nevertheless, the underlying themes of the Upanayam to lead the individual toward knowledge, self discipline, and spiritual awareness remains relevant, and we continue to see the importance of the ceremony in maintaining a connection to one's religious and cultural roots. Given the changes in the way the ceremony is conducted, what role do institutions like the Vedic Dhamma Sansthan play in preserving the traditional aspects of the Upanayam? Institutions like the Vedic Dhamma Sansthan play a crucial role in preserving the traditional aspects of the Upanayam. We are committed to ensuring that the ceremony is not only performed but also understood in its true Vedic context. This means that alongside the ritual aspects, we also emphasize the deeper spiritual and educational meaning of the ceremony. At Vedic Dhamma Sansthan, we offer guidance to the proper procedures and rituals that should be followed, and we also provide educational resources for families and communities who wish to understand the significance of each step in the ceremony. This includes not only the physical aspects of the ceremony, but also the philosophical and moral teachings that are integral to it. In addition, we conduct training programs for priests and gurus, ensuring that they are well versed in the traditional mantras, rituals, and the underlying Vedic principles. We believe that preserving the authenticity of the ceremony helps ensure that the younger generation can still connect with the spiritual essence of the tradition, even as society continues to change. We also encourage families to integrate the teachings of the Upanyanam into their daily lives of the child, fostering an environment where the pursuit of knowledge and spiritual growth is a lifelong endeavor. Thank you for so much for your time and insights. It is clear that the Upanyanam ceremony is not just a ritual but a profound spiritual and cultural milestone. Your efforts in preserving its tradition are truly commendable. Thank you for your kind words. It is always a pleasure to share the wisdom of our traditions and to help bridge the gap between the past and the present. I hope that the significance of the Upanayam continues to inspire the future generations. Jai Gurudev.